In a world where digital content barrels towards us at relentless breakneck speeds, where posts and memes and tweets and snaps rain down a punishing assault of attention-grabbing data, three heroic podcasters with a strong background in broadcast media are taking on the internet. Each week, we break down the trends, technology, and connections that are transforming our lives. We are Things I Found Online. Cozy up to your Bluetooth-enabled listening device, ladies and germs. Radio legends are exploring the internet with podcast giants Ted Willett and Jim Van Cura from the Trailer Junkies podcast. Ooh, and that's not all. Our stage is also graced by voiceover great Jack Daniel. We trust that you'll be suitably excited. Me? Hey. I'm Joe Cipriano, now professionally turning it over to Louise.
Thank you, Joe. That was enchanting.
Thank you.
On our show today, we have voiceover legends Joe Cipriano and Jack Daniel blending nicely with Jimmy and Ted from the Trailer Junkies podcast.
Yes.
Could you please click on that link, gentlemen?
Alrighty.
Jim and Ted.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for being. So, just by way of explanation, Jim is not present in studio.
Mm-hmm.
He is zooming in. Do you have it? Do you have his face so we can assess his looks?
Let's see. I haven't seen Jim's face. Whenever I see your smiling face. There he is.
Very handsome. Very handsome. And he is
Jim?
lined in brick.
Yes.
Yes, I'm framing myself.
I love that.
Nicely.
But I think there should be a fire in that fireplace back there.
Oh, that would be cozy.
Yeah, it's summertime. It's a little bit too warm for that.
Okay.
Yeah. So Jim and Ted have been friends for a long time, and they share this friendship with their listeners on their weekly show, Trailer Junkies podcast, taking a look at the media marketing space and the ever-changing media landscape with a beer in hand and only a dangerous amount of knowledge about the industry. Do you have your beer?
I have my beer.
Okay. Do
Thank
you
very
have
much.
a beer, Jim?
I do,
All
yes.
right,
Jim.
may we kindly see your beer?
Yeah, it's. I do have it in a glass, but it is the North Coast Brewing Old Rasputin.
Nice.
I think
You can check it out.
I think
there.
you're gonna
It's
win.
very
That's
tasty.
That's
Very
I think you're going to win.
Eclectic, yes.
We have. Go ahead, Ted.
We have a Heineken.
We have a Have you heard of that? Heineken.
Heine.
Yeah.
It's a
Heineken.
Heine. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Straight from
Jack
Amsterdam.
has a Heine.
But we have two
And I
of them, so it's more
believe it
impressive than yours.
comes from
Pacoima.
the brewing company of Gelson's. So Jimmy and Ted, tell us a little bit about your podcast. Will you? Will you?
Won't we?
Go for it,
Yeah.
Ted. You
Oh,
start.
I start.
Yeah.
Okay. So a couple years ago, well, for Jimmy and I know each other for over a decade. And I've always been bringing crazy ideas to him, like startups and all kinds of things. And he's like, too much money, too much money. And then last year I said, we'll do a podcast about the future. And he said, well, you don't know anything about the future. And I said, you're right, but nobody does. So it's a great thing to do a podcast about.
Exactly.
And he said, no. So then at Thanksgiving dinner, we were out and about up in Lompoc. And he said, we'll do a podcast about trailers, because he was joking. And I said, well, I've been doing trailers.
Completely joking.
I've been doing trailers for 10 years. I've been sitting in a room quietly listening and taking executive notes, creative notes, and all kinds of notes for trailers. So I said, this is something I definitely know a little bit about, which is a problem. And then I wanted to share that with everybody. And from there, we took it off.
Wow.
Sweet.
And what is
Fabulous.
what is your average listener? Who is this person?
So everybody at Jimmy's work.
My mom, my dad.
Exactly. Yeah, and I would say it's also like movie buffs, people
Yeah.
who enjoy, movie trailers. Like my wife and I, we go to the movies vicariously through movie trailers because we have two young boys that keep us from getting out often. And when we do, it winds up being an expensive night because of babysitters and everything. So we would watch movie trailers all the time. And then I figured, well, I got to know something about it. I had like a film class once, and
Yeah. Well, I
and
agree.
Ted works in the industry.
It's a lot of fun to just. I remember when Apple TV at first, you were able to access all of the trailers, that were at Apple TV. And we would have friends come over. Maybe we'd see a movie or we would barbecue. But then a great time of the evening would be just sitting in the living room watching trailer after trailer.
Trailer benching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they had coming attractions on what is it, VH1 or MTV or something like that.
Absolutely,
And we'd
yeah.
watch trailers.
well, and DVDs and Blu-ray has trailers.
Yeah.
I mean, so many do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I find myself just saying, well, when does the movie start? Oh, my God.
Always.
How many trailers? Oh, my God, there's so many trailers.
And what about, do you have a pet peeve? For example, one of mine is when the trailer gives absolutely everything.
Yes.
The
That's my
entire
mother's.
storyline.
That's my mother's
Yeah.
pet peeve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't happen
I think
too
we have
often.
a lot of pet peeves.
Yeah, I bet you do.
I do. I have a lot of. I don't have a lot of pets, but I have a lot of pet peeves.
Right.
Yeah.
Every innovative thing in trailers and trailer cutting becomes a trope and gets worn out very, very quickly.
Yeah.
So
I don't know
that's-
if you guys have ever discussed this, and probably not, so I'm going to bring it up. But the trailers for like the upcoming season of The Bachelor or The Bachelor in Paradise, they definitely have a pattern. So it starts with all the romance and all the, extravagant dates on isolated beaches and beautifully set, picnics and in the mountains. And then it devolves into the throwing of people, things, and places.
There's that moment of calm with the
tears-
cymbal swell, and you
tears-
hear the
Cymbal
cymbal
swell.
swell, and
Yes.
you know
Exactly.
it's
Then
good.
It's coming, tears and crying
exactly.
over a balcony and
They're
sobbing.
luring you.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
are there similar patterns, to the constructing of a
very
trip?
much so through all the trailers. I mean, the turn is just a big thing in trailers. About halfway through, there's a setup, there's a turn, and then there's the montage and hopefully a payoff of some sort that doesn't give away a lot of the movie.
Right.
I think that is definitely. I think through the 80s and 90s, there was a lot of just like executives driving the trailer.
Yes.
And I think that was the time for the executives to drive it. And now we're in a place where creatives, auteurs, filmmakers, they all know that the trailer is going to be out there forever. I was even telling a couple of trailer people. So on Twitter, film Twitter is great. I think it's an amazing place to be. It's amazing escape from the world. And they're an incredibly, inviting crowd. And you talk about movies. I don't have, Jimmy and I make mistakes every week in our recollection of what movies we
No.
talk about.
No.
But they know everything about all the movies, and it's an amazing space.
Yeah.
Well, you guys do know that you're in the presence of two people that work in trailers.
Yes.
How
Are
about
you
that?
are you
Yes.
in a little bit in awe?
I was.
Have you
yes.
touched them? You can touch
Then
them.
they met us, Louise. That was the
Gently.
problem.
I'm touching Jack right now.
touching you
It's
back,
Joe-
good.
It was amazing
No, we're
to
married
know
now on
that
several
when I learned we're
podcasts.
going to be on with these two fine gentlemen, that two of the three legends are with us.
Wow. Who walked in? Well, thank you.
I don't think I'm one of them. And that's fine.
You know,
so Joe,
as
go
for,
ahead.
Well, as for me, I'm mostly, my career has been promos and network promos, and working for Fox as the voice of the Fox network for about 20 years, and then CBS for about 15 years, and NBC. I did the dramas there for a couple of years. So I still do promos, and I started my career in trailers, ironically, because now all of us, Jack and I, who do promos, and most of the other folks, men and women who do promos, want to get into trailers, and it's very difficult to get into because they still are using that handful of voices.
It's a handful of voices. It's a handful of agencies.
Yeah.
It's very tight, and it's
And it's driven by also by managers like
Yeah.
the Wintner and what are some of the others that are big?
Jason Marks.
Jason Marks and all of
Debbie
the
Cope.
talent, because a lot of the studios will go to the rather than going to the agents, they'll go to the managers now to find what the next big voice is. And so if you want to be a trailer voice, it's beneficial to be with a manager.
They should make you wait in a trailer. I think it would be fun. That would be a good game show
That would be a good
Yeah.
game show, yeah.
or a reality kind of game show.
So my stuff, when I did trailers early on at the beginning of my career, it was like Fast Times at Ridgemont High and other luminary films like Porky's and then Porky's 2 and Bachelor Party.
The classics.
Classics.
Joe, can you kindly give us a trailer voiceover about the trailers you have voiced?
In a world where one man has done trailers years and years ago and progressed into being a promo man, that one man is happy and wealthy.
How about you, Jack?
Jack.
Sure, I actually went ahead and prepared something.
Did you?
So
So, so in other words, you read the
difference.
email and
I
did your
actually
homework.
read your email and
Joe?
digested it.
Joe?
So
Did I have something I was supposed to read?
No, I just want you to sit in awe of
You know
Jack.
what? He's such a suck
He's a
up.
kiss up,
He's
yeah.
a suck up.
He is teacher's pet.
All right, Jack.
that is
Go with your
how
big
I broke
voice.
into trailers with my sucking up, believe me. So, in that hidden valley between watcher and film, he lurks, disembodied but viscerally close. And whether he's winking or warning, driving or along for the ride, one thing is clear: the Whiskey Man is coming, and he's wearing Crocs.
Well done.
Because I do actually wear Crocs in the booth.
I am so there for
What
that.
is the reason for that? Why do you wear Crocs? in the
Their
booth?
comfort and
Oh,
their
okay.
fashion appeal.
Yeah.
Well, of course.
It's fashion
yes.
forward.
I didn't think
And
of
of course,
that.
the Whiskey Man is a reference to myself because Jack Daniel, you kind of get it, right?
All right,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Ted and I got into it a little bit over the email.
Wait a minute.
And it was
Oh.
over the top one list because we do the top one list. It's a new feature, Joe, because as you know, the internet loves lists.
Yes.
Yes.
Very
So,
big into
but we
this,
don't
yeah.
have time for all the lists, so
No.
we picked a top one. This is the number one list of the week, according to Wonderlist.com. The number one list of the week is the top 10 movie trailers of all time.
Wow.
But Joe, I think
Yes.
I think maybe you should read them.
Sure. Do I have them right here? Starting
Yes.
with number 10, Lord of
Yeah.
the Rings.
Yeah, you do.
Number 10 is Lord of the Rings. Number 9, Forrest Gump. Number 8, Back to the Future, one of my favorites. Number 7, The Blair Witch Project. Number 6, The Matrix Reloaded. 5 is Cloverfield. 4 is Saving Private Ryan. That is a hell of a trailer. 3, Terminator 2, Judgment Day. Number 2, Godfather 3, which surprises me. And number 1, what would you guess is the number 1 trailer?
Well, I don't have to guess. It's written on the
Oh,
screen.
well, then go ahead. Tell me.
But I actually love this trailer. I think it's one of the best ever made.
Mm-hmm.
Ridley Scott's Alien.
There you go. Yeah.
And
So
Ted,
fantastic.
Ted, you beg to differ.
Yeah, I know a lot of people put Alien at the top of the list. My big thing with trailers, and Jimmy and I talk about this a lot, is, it's a trailer for a movie and its job is to get you in the seats. And if you have a great product like Alien, I think there's not a lot of heavy lifting,
Yeah.
so to speak. So if you have a great product, it is cut very nicely. The montage doesn't give anything away, which is another, the big pet peeve for everyone. But I think when you have a subpar product or a product that you're trying to sell differently, when you're in the marketing space, you want to guide the audience. You're like, oh, everybody all the test audiences think this is one thing. So we want to push them in another direction, or we want to make sure that women, will want to come and see this too, or something like that. So I thought Aliens 3 of all the Aliens movies had the hardest job to do. I like Fincher's take on it as far as movies go, but I think that trailer, I love the tagline for Alien. In space, no one can hear you scream.
Yeah.
But they've all had just very different. So after you see Alien, and then after you see Aliens, because Aliens was an action movie and this was a suspense thriller, the horror suspense thriller for Alien 3 had a hard thing to do because it wanted to straddle both genres, and it really had a hard sell to make. So
Yeah.
as far as the Alien franchises, I like Alien 3 or Alien Cubed.
What makes a great trailer, Jimmy?
What I think makes a great trailer is non-linear storytelling. So you don't know where you are in it, because if it's too linear, then you kind of it shouldn't be a summary of the movie itself. So, and I also think, and we have voiceover guys here, but I think when you have voiceover,
I know where you're going.
Be careful.
telling you the story that I'm supposed to be discovering myself.
I agree.
I think that makes for less of a good trailer. So removing the voiceover guy, and what I also like is when, for example, in The Lord of the Rings, when you have the characters in the movie narrating the movie for you at times, telling you maybe what's going on. So maybe they become like the voiceover in the throughout the trailer. So it kind of leads you a little bit, but not so much that it gives away the story.
I think that old narrator type is very old and played, and
Yeah.
you don't see it as much now. You really, what we end up doing are more the TV spots, you know, the TV marketing, the when it goes to DVD or when it goes, you know, on demand or that kind of stuff. But
And you're hitting it so quickly.
yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, the lines are so unbelievably fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, if you do end up on a trailer, you're only saying rated R at the end. But you know what? That's a full payment for doing a trailer. If that's what you're doing.
that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Both
Yeah.
words, by the way.
Now, can you?
But and then finally, I think what makes for a good trailer is that it could stand alone. So almost like a short. You don't need it to be a part of anything. And if you a Beautiful Boy is coming out, and that movie, or well, trailer, I guess, that movie can stand alone. Just like Zootopia could stand alone. I mean, and you know, I laugh every time.
Jimmy, can I take devil's advocate with you just a little bit with non-voiced versus voiced trailers? One thing the voice can be is, besides just a narrator, just someone telling you what you can see for yourself, is kind of a character in and of itself, in the sense that it could be contra the mood or the tenor of the trailer. So if it's a menacing trailer, the voice could be oddly warmth, like Hal Douglas' voice
Yeah.
and terrifying things happening.
Yeah.
That can be an interesting element. It also,
Right.
one other thing I'd say, I'm going to throw two things at you, so like in a debate team, you can't respond quickly. The other thing would be that if you have a recognized person or voice, okay, say you don't know who that guy is, but you've heard his voice before, you've heard him do different trailers.
Right, doing a ton of trailers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As with in a TV show, when you see, that celebrity's coming on screen, that celebrity brings with them their whole life, so much. They're bringing their celebrity baggage, if you will. So that voice,
Kind of the nostalgia too.
and the nostalgia. So that voice
Yeah.
is carrying the currency of what it has done for you in the past, and so it may bring some element too that may be lacking, otherwise in the trailer.
So this is 2004 film school. Sorry, Jimmy, I'm going to jump in here because as far as talent voiceover, as far as like celebrity voiceover, the studies that I was in, and I fought this a little bit, and my professor, I think, docked me a grade for it, but they said that baggage only happens when you see their face. So if you have a feeling for an actor and you just hear their voice, you don't carry a lot of the baggage along
interesting.
with
would
that.
you say that's
So-
true of John Hamm and the Mercedes
John
commercials?
Hamm and Kiefer
he's-
Sutherland.
Yeah.
these guys, you know who they are.
You know who they are,
Yeah.
and the studies that they've done, they do Eisensteinish studies. I don't know who's film school here, but they do a lot of studies and a lot of just checking it out, and that's what they say. They say, like, if you're just sharing a voice, then there's not a lot of baggage. I mean, Pine's doing a lot. Pine's
Yeah, absolutely.
doing stuff right now. So the voice of something, it gets a lot of the lift and not a lot of the baggage, or at least it's
interesting.
far less baggage.
And how much do you think? And I'm sorry, I don't mean to.
No,
okay.
go on.
I'm not really sorry. How much of this do you think?
There's a mic and there is Jack.
It's a bad combination, and a beer.
And a beer. Oh
But
my God.
how much do you think is having to do with people making trailers for other people in the business too, and what they like?
Yeah, the sizzle is a big part of it now, especially. Jimmy and I did a show about the upfronts, and back in the day they used to show whole pilots to upfront crowds, but now that the upfronts are crammed in and nobody has time to watch a 30-minute or an hour long show, they do sizzles, which is about a super trailer, right? It's like 4 minutes long.
Yeah.
For each of that.
It was like
They could be
4 or 5
They
minutes.
could start at 2.5 and go to 4.
Yeah. So I mean, you have that space, and that space is doing a different job than the space of a trailer. The trailer, as far as the consumer trailer, is trying to get butts and seats. And then
By the way, I don't know if you guys, maybe you already realize this, but when the networks go into upfronts, and just for the listeners that don't know what upfronts are, they usually happen in May, and it's when the networks roll out all of their fall programming, and they do it for advertisers, and they really can sell about 90% of their inventory, at that time. But the interesting thing about the sizzles is that the networks, a lot of times years ago, they would do it in-house with their marketing people, but now they go out to the vendors who create trailers, and they're creating the sizzles as well. So there's a lot of that kind of level of marketing for trailers that is then being used for TV networks going out at Sizzles.
Well, let me ask you this question, since our show is about the internet. How has the internet impacted the trailer business? Because now these things are going to live forever, and also superfans, they want different lengths and they want more. So if it's a certain franchise, they're really starving for as much as they can get and probably sitting there hitting refresh
Yes.
until it pops up. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, there used to only be 1 or 2 trailers per item, per piece of work, but now there's 5, 6 pieces before something comes out, especially something really big. And I was talking to Trailer Beat and Trailer Track on Twitter, and they were they're insiders inside, and they were talking about the move where now things in trailers aren't in the actual movie. And there's
so they're
scenes,
doing a shoot.
doing a shoot.
Yeah.
They're doing post work where in Avengers they have all those Avengers coming at the screen, and that's not in the movie. And I was saying 5-7 years ago we had to pull things off of the air when it was no longer in the cut.
Yeah.
As the cuts would progress, we'd pull down trailers if that's no longer in the trailer. But now it's a free-for-all. It's like, the internet, because it'll live forever, because you can't scrape the internet anymore. If it's up, and nobody cares, and I think somebody was sued over that, but they didn't win. So now it's a free-for-all.
Wow.
Are people hitting freeze frame and like micro-examining?
Yes.
Okay.
Here
We
are the
certainly
Easter
are.
eggs for the trailers.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Good.
Go ahead.
And I was going to mention too that the internet is a non-captive audience, so you need to have eyes on your trailer. And so they've come out with this in the age of infinite scroll apps like Facebook, Instagram, and so on. They've come out with these what we call trailers to the trailers. So it's about a 3 to 5 second quick trailer that summarizes what's in the trailer. And it's intended to get you to stop as you're scrolling, so you can unmute your phone, and then you could stop watch, and then when you're done, you could just get on scrolling again. So that's another indicator that I think the internet is really changing the way people consume content.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
And also, you've got people making these but segmenting the market so that you have trailers for certain demos, and that's become a big business too. Is that sort of the thought that these marketing teams put into it is amazing.
I'm also really interested in what happens after the movie's release, and if people are responding to the movie as more of a comedy than they are as a thriller. Do they augment or come out with a trailer that's more in keeping with how people have received the film?
Yeah, I think they definitely do that. I think usually they're trying to stretch the audience. I think the movie in and of itself is going to sell itself. It's going to have the word of mouth, the legs is what they call it in the industry, of people talking about the movie. So if people are talking about it as a musical and we wanted to sell it as a comedy, that's part of the reason they're just trying to stretch that comedy audience and get that opening weekend number up.
Yeah.
And what about techniques such as they did with the Hunger Games, the online virtual Hunger Games? That was a huge success, I believe, wasn't it? Were you talking about that sort of thing too? Because it's
Sure,
really
absolutely,
interesting aspects of marketing. Yeah.
It's all rolled in, yeah.
What did they do?
They made a virtual Hunger Games where people can actually play
And kill each other?
and kill each other.
I think that
I don't think that's okay.
it literally started with Blair Witch. I think Blair Witch had an online a simple website. They didn't have a lot of money to do a splash in media marketing, so they were like, "Oh, let's set up a website. We'll have a fun little online game to play." And it did gangbusters, and it became like a model.
Remember when Mac and Jamie were in that movie called $1 Million Mystery? They actually hid $1 million. Well, the movie was about people looking for $1 million, like a scavenger hunt. And I think they actually did it in real life.
Wow.
Do you know where it is?
I
Still hasn't been found.
I didn't find it. But yeah, interactive.
My son works in, I'm sorry, just quickly, my son works in social media and worked at a couple of big trailer houses, and he worked on Jurassic World, and they did create that whole restaurant, the whole compound online, and you could go in and explore and go into this room and see what's here and there, and it was fascinating, and the amount of people that went into it was unbelievable.
Yeah, my favorite was the IRL Simpsons, when the Simpsons movie came out, and it turned a couple of 7-Elevens into Quickie Marts, right in Burbank, and it's so like this is the thing about why I like talking about it from living and working in LA, is that people do, the people in marketing for movies, they do stuff for themselves first.
Right. Yeah.
They like to see the money being spent in and around LA and Burbank.
Yeah.
So tell us about your job. What is your day job, Ted?
So my day job is I came from a group that put a lot of movie trailers and movie marketing on network and cable television.
Okay.
So that was the space. So like we do a lot of promos. Like
you would do
said,
promos and
you're
on
cutting,
air.
You're cutting from the trailers that are out, and then you either get the same house that cut the trailer, or usually another house to just take that 2:30 and cut it down to 70 30-second spots.
Right.
So you're tired of Joe Cipriano's voice?
So you're repurposing
A lot. And then now, like you said, with the data that we're getting back, we're getting a lot more pinpointed at what angles we're going to take. So that's 70 spots that we did 5 years ago. It's now a dozen spots.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's really.
So you're able to analyze what's going on and then kind of adjust.
Yes, I mean it's a big enough company. I don't do any of it.
Yeah,
So,
you get the data.
We get the data,
yeah.
and we do cells. It's called, you have the kid cell, or
Right, the female,
the
the
humor cell.
Yeah, the mom, the soccer mom.
So it's interesting because people that have raised kids know that kids will watch the same movie over and over and over again.
Yes,
how
they
do you
will.
guys? Yes, Jimmy. So how do you
Yes, I
guys
will.
make more money when they've already purchased it? Do you kind of like go, oh, there's eyes on a screen somewhere. We've got to put in something subliminal.
Well, now it's all subscription, right? I mean, you aren't paying per view; you're paying per platform.
So Hulu or
it's
whatever they're
Hulu,
Well, and
Netflix, merch.
So what are
yeah,
your kids
yeah.
watching, Jim?
Oh, right now they probably like things like Octonauts, and they like what else is it? Dinosaur trains or something. I don't know. They
Dino
watch
trucks.
Dino
If
trucks.
Dino
There you go.
trucks.
Yeah,
It's
mostly
like
Netflix.
dinosaur trains. If that's not a thing, let's make it a
Write
thing.
that down. Dinosaur
Buy the-
trains. Yes.
yeah, buy the URL.
Like
But,
Dinosaur Train, it reminds me of like how genius Kiss, the rock band, is, because they combine superheroes with rock and roll.
True, you're
It's
right.
like two things
Yeah.
boys like are dinosaurs and trains. Make it a thing.
And here's an amazing thing though. They love like the late 80s, early 90s Batman and Superman, but we have to kind of watch those a little bit because they could turn a little violent with the gunplay and stuff. It's amazing how you think like, oh, I used to watch this, but then it was like, yeah, I was in high school,
Right.
Or
Or
Right.
that mom wasn't watching what I watched. So yeah, I
Exactly.
watched it.
And another thing I wanted to mention too about because we were talking how has the internet kind of changed the way people get content.
Yeah.
And when you look at before the internet in the movies, what you would have is like butts in the seats, right? So if there's a ticket sale, they know they're watching those trailers and they're a captive audience. But now, and I don't remember who mentioned it, but we were talking about data and the analytics you get, like Avengers Infinity War, for example, was 230 million views in the first 24 hours. And I think Ted was only about 100,000 of those.
Ted, how many times did you watch it?
I watched it a lot.
Yeah,
I watched it
you
a
did.
lot. The first
So
day out. Yeah.
do you guys geek out on trailers being released?
I do.
So what do you?
Oh,
what do
yeah,
you-
of course.
What have you
Oh, my
recently
gosh,
been
I'm
excited
sure.
about, and what are you currently?
By the way,
excited?
before you answer that, I
Yes.
just picked up Dinosaur Trains.
Did you?
Serious.
Oh my!
It is available,
gosh,
and I
he
just got it.
really did.
Beautiful.
So now we have to.
But Jim, you're in. Okay.
Jim's in.
Oh yeah,
All
Jim,
right,
we're
all
cutting
right.
you,
50-50.
cutting you in, and you're two young men,
Right.
young children. So what have you recently been super excited about? What are you currently super excited about?
So the thing that excited me was the backlash to the way YouTube is attacking it. And when you have an open platform like YouTube, you have to grab the audience, right? So that's their audience. Now, everybody has Netflix accounts. I think the thing that I loved last night, I was watching Joseph Campbell on Netflix, right? So
Oh,
it's
I'll binge that.
19, what is that, 88 or something
Sure.
like that?
Wow, yeah.
From back
With
in
Bill
the day.
Moyers, yeah.
And I was watching that, and as I rolled over the image for it, they had a bit of a promo that
Wow.
auto plays for it. So then I rolled over other stuff, and everything in Netflix has a rollover promo.
That's
Wow.
that's been happening. lately.
And I said, well, these promos
Look
are
at
different.
Jack. He's thinking,
It's like, how do I
wait a
He's
minute.
like dinosaur.
How do I get my voice in
trucks,
there?
Can I get out
dinosaur-
of here right now? I need Jack, you sit down.
the sad thing about it is a lot of it's MOS. A lot of it's without any sound. The Bill Moyers thing, I was playing it. I was in bed with my wife, and she was reading, and it was only the score of the Bill Moyers special. And my wife was like, "Is that Joseph Campbell?" I was like, "Oh my God!"
Wow. She knows the theme song to Joseph Campbell.
That's great.
That's hilarious.
Really.
Wow.
So I think it's interesting that everything that they've licensed, they have like this beautiful, like slow thing. For Thor Ragnarok, they licensed. They just do the Immigrant Song, and they have that playing over the battle scene in the front. So it's a bit
Led Zeppelin. Immigrant Song?
they do a bit of a lift of that. And then for a lot of the stuff, it's just like, just scored. But then for their own stuff, they have the trailers playing. And I was trying to find one where they had the trailer on YouTube and the regular trailer on that. But it looks like Netflix doesn't care anymore. They're just going to put their regular trailers out, or at least the regular trailers out in their Netflix channel on YouTube.
Right.
So I think they're leading kind of a backlash to this, hitting you over the head with it. And to me, it was like, oh, this is interesting. I can sustain myself a little more readily in the environment. It makes browsing in Netflix a little more pleasurable than it used to be.
Yeah.
Oh, it's very seductive. In fact, I have either read or heard that Netflix considers their number one competition to be sleep.
Sleep.
So they, because they have you.
Is that true?
Yes.
That's very funny.
They have you hypnotized.
And the fact that Ted knew that too.
Yeah, and he knew that. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you guys if you are familiar with currently appearing on YouTube with Jack's new promos. He has voiced the promos for Super Troopers.
I am not familiar with this.
And
Super Troopers 2.
Oh, yeah, too.
Oh, really? It's a
Yes.
sequel?
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was 13 years apart or something.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So who's in Super Troopers? What happens?
2. Do you mean in 1 or 2?
Well, I assume that there's.
I mean,
They're getting the gang back together.
let's
right?
define what we're talking.
Yeah, no, it's the same thing. Basically, you've got these troopers up in the Great
And they're
North,
super,
and they
correct?
get into crazy hijinks. It's a movie that say people who
Hijinks, I
who
love that
ingest
word.
certain substances might find more enjoyable than others.
In other words, do you need to be stoned to listen to the trailer?
helps.
Okay.
Dude.
So
Wait,
please?
what doesn't get helped by it?
A man who
touching
drinks
that.
beer during his podcast.
Exactly. This is how they came up with the
All
idea
right.
of their
Do you
podcast.
guys have the Super
right.
Troopers trailer?
Oh, good. Let's see this.
Play the Super Troopers 2 ad on TV. They insisted we make a few changes.
But who is they? Who are they?
Sorry.
I'd rather.
A moose, you would need a ladder to do that.
What pills do we have? This one says tiger. Sorry. Chinese use it to get. Sorry.
Funny, you're
Sorry.
She is so lame.
I'm sorry.
Look who it is! It's the Fuzz!
Should I get a river beaver? Sorry. It's a joke. Their teeth are so sharp. They'd be horrible.
Super Troopers 2.
Sorry?
Everywhere 420. Rated R.
Oh, 420, I
It's
guess.
420.
So
420 all day.
someone decided to take that direction.
They did.
The whole how Canadians pronounce the word sorry,
Sorry.
Yeah.
would be funny enough to sustain an entire trailer.
And that's the trailer house came up with this concept, and they're amazing because they come with on spec. They create these spots, and then they tend to try to sell them to the maker of the film. And so that was a success story for them, but they don't always succeed. Sometimes they sink tons of money into these things, paying fools like me, and then and
Because
sometimes
I
they
would
work.
think if you have Rob Lowe in a funny wig, you don't really need a lot more,
I'm already you had me at Rob Lowe in a funny way.
There you go.
right?
Yeah.
You had me at Linda Carter, I think. There.
So now, are you being the guy they grab for those kind of wacky, comically? I don't know what the correct
I'm just
word
going
is.
to see where you go with this.
How would you frame it?
Well,
I mean,
thanks to
stoned funny, I
just
guess.
let's be very clear here. You were very kind to introduce us as voiceover legends. This guy's a voiceover legend. I'm
Yeah, but Jack,
You're a
I,
legend.
I have to believe that when you call to order takeout, people
I often get 2 orders.
they take notice. Yeah.
run over with food.
But I'm ordering
Your-
3, so it's not a big deal.
Your voice is very authoritative. So I don't know. I do think that it provides that juxtaposition when you're voicing something so comically wacky.
I do like the funny stuff. I
Yeah.
really do. I've done sketch comedy, stand-up. I've done all kinds of things like that. And Joe, actually, who has also been someone who's produced my demos. That's a big part in this business, is to have actual demos. He is kind of guided me to recognize and latch on to that
I
part
have
of
ruined his entire career.
But I was kind of trying to go down the there's so many guys out there, the Howard Parkers and all who can do that, this read where it's just like it's very intense and and all that. But this could be a fun niche for me, is to kind of explore this space.
Did you lay the path that led him to Break-A-Roddy?
You know what? He found his own way.
It's amazing.
To Break-A-Roddy.
Okay, do you guys have Break-A-Roddy?
Do we have Break-A-Roddy?
Yeah.
Oh, we have to see this.
All right, everyone take a seat, please.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yes.
In a time of great mystery, two brothers unlock a power strong enough to save the world or destroy it. This is Break-A-Roddy, the acrobatic moves of breakdancing and the explosive force of karate. Only one ordinary family knows the secret of Break-A-Roddy's true potential. Swish! And they're going to need it. Because they're up against some of the funkiest bad guys in history. I can dig it. Harry Metal. Hard as metal and oh so hairy. Neon Ninja. Behind the hairspray and studs, she's out for blood. And Disco Samurai. Disco never dies, but he's a stone-cold killer. Not to mention pesky teen bullies.
What did you say?
Shocking family drama.
Sometimes a little aggression can be a good thing.
And young love. You'll find it all in Break-A-Roddy.
Oh, God. I love the way he says karate.
Well, actually, I stole that directly off of your good friend, the late Don LaFontaine.
Don LaFontaine.
Who did Gymkata. You probably have seen that 80s trailer. This is obviously an 80s sort of trailer.
Yeah.
Right.
So I looked to him for inspiration.
That was good. That's good.
All right, Joe,
fantastic.
it's your turn.
To do what?
Well, I think when you were 12, you
You're not going to go back.
you voiced the trailer for Fast Times
We
at
did
Ridgemont
talk
High.
about that, yes.
All right, so please enjoy
Classic,
a
a
young
classic.
Joe Cipriano
Wow. Yeah.
right before his voice changed.
Let's not play the whole. Can we just
Bar
play?
mitzvah year.
Can you play a snippet?
Universal Pictures presents everything you always wanted to do in high school with everyone you always wanted to do it with.
Hey, bud. Let's party.
They're the students of Ridgemont High. Brad Hamilton, the fast food king.
I shall serve no fries before their time.
It says 100% guaranteed, you moron.
Mister, if you don't shut up, I'm gonna kick 100% of your ass.
Charles Jefferson, a man with a mission.
Oh, gnarly.
Linda Barrett, not exactly the girl next door.
Awesome. Totally awesome.
And Jeff surfs up Spicoli.
People on lewd should not drive.
Important lessons here. Wow, Joe.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Amy Heckerling, right?
Yeah.
Directed.
Yes.
And Cameron Crowe. And it was just like a little film.
It really holds up.
And it became what it became. And actually, I worked for a guy by the name of Jim Gibbons, who went on to be the head of one of the studios in marketing. And he had a company called Flamingo Films back in the 80s. And that's when we would record to MAG, which is the actual film strip, which is why when you do trailers and it's a union job, you're being paid under the Screen Actors Guild contract because
You're
it's
actually
it's
syncing
on
up.
film.
Yeah, wow, interesting. So,
Can I just say, didn't that particular trailer kind of change the landscape? Because before that, it was all the big voices, and you really just kind of changed it.
Yeah, it did, and happened again in TV as well. And then for a while, for all the teen movies, there was that younger voice that they would use.
but also for Fox,
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
across the board.
I ended up with Fox a few years after that. But yeah, I mean, you could see the difference in the marketing and what was going on there. That's such a pop culture top 40 in your face kind of thing rather than what you see in trailers now for the most part, which is thoughtful and really telling a story. And
I'm surprised it could have had a red band.
Yeah,
it would be a cool red band trailer.
They certainly could have.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, so what are we excited for? We have movies that are coming out this fall. And you can click on that link, guys. But which ones of these, or what are we excited to see the trailer for? What upcoming trailers are? Oh, you're going to check the internet.
Yeah, let me. I just wanted to.
This is the thing
riff off of what Jack
found online. Yeah,
Jack was talking about the juxtaposition of the voiceover talent.
Yeah,
and I think part of the reason my problem with their top 10 list was the omission of Blazing Saddles. To me, having Blazing Saddles with, and Jimmy brought this up, with Mel Brooks doing the voiceover, it really did lean against type.
Yeah,
you know, and he really broke the fourth wall with the VO.
Yeah,
you know, and the VO always breaks the fourth wall, but then for him to just wink and nod in his voice at the audience was an amazing thing. But
he's a guy that would also sing his own theme songs because he just felt like no one else knows exactly how I want this delivered. Let me just do it.
High anxiety.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you know, one guy who didn't always break the fourth wall, he almost kind of sank into the movie, was Hal Douglas. Like, I remember some of his trailers, it felt like he wasn't actually watching it with you or telling you what's going on. It felt like he was kind of part of the movie almost.
Mm-hmm. Fatherly kind of figure, and
especially when it was in juxtaposition to the action.
Did he do Dr. Strangelove? Because Dr. Strangelove was another omission from this list.
I don't know.
Dr. Strangelove.
I don't think so.
It had such stark cards, you know, the flash of Dr. Strangelove, and it's like an eye chart. It's almost like subliminal messaging in a trailer, and at that time it wasn't done that way. So it was very an amazing kind of feat of.
And that's what's so fun, is seeing how this type of marketing evolves and how it changes. I mean, as you know, back in the earlier days, it would just be the editor of the film. It's just like, hey, can you cut us a couple of minutes, you know, and it was just cards, you know, flashing up on this.
So what are we looking forward to this fall, Jimmy and Ted?
Jimmy, you go.
Yeah, I think Bad Times at the El Royale looks pretty amazing. Beautiful Boy, though I might need a box of tissue for that one. That's right in my wheelhouse.
That film is based on the book by both the father and the son combined, correct?
It is, yeah.
That should be really interesting.
And just in the trailer, the way their conversation in the diner goes, it just goes back and forth between a father and a son, and it's complete subtext. And for them to allow subtext to just play out in a trailer, it's such an awesome, you know, just a belief in your audience that you know that if you're the audience for this movie, we're going to trust you with just letting them talk about renting a hotel room and have it mean nothing at all about renting hotel rooms. So.
Yeah, like
and Bohemian Rhapsody's right there. I mean, that's going to be an amazing one for soundtrack.
The scoring of all their trailers that have come out. I think they have 2 main trailers that have come out, and then all the cut downs. You know, I was telling Jimmy and some other people that, you know, a lot of times they'll cut to music and then they'll replace it, you know, and then you can usually tell. But it feels like they've definitely cut this to the music. And I'm hoping that they probably sent it back to May to do another cut if they had to.
Wow.
Are you guys ready for a pop quiz?
Oh.
All right.
Okay, here we go.
A quiz.
Yes.
Can you name the film and probably trailer in which you hear these famous movie lines?
Do we press a button or do we yell?
You can raise your hand. Or I think
how about
maybe
if we go,
for the sake of just fluidity, how about just yell it out?
Really?
Yeah. What the hell?
Okay.
I mean, we'll have Trish announce the winner just based on her own personal perception.
Yes, okay.
Okay. Number A. When you realize
Number A, yes.
When you realize you want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you want the rest of your life to start as soon as possible.
The rest of your
Wendy's.
life?
No,
Wendy, do you know it?
I thought you had it, Wendy.
Do you know it? When Harry Met Sally.
Wendy
scores a
Shapiro,
point.
ladies and gentlemen.
All right, here's another one that Wendy will know. Number B. As if.
As if.
As if.
As if.
Wendy?
Dina?
Clueless?
Dina?
Clueless.
Clueless.
Oh, nice.
Number C. These go to 11.
Oh,
Spinal Tap.
Spinal Tap.
No. This is Spinal Tap.
Oh, very good.
There you
Oh,
go. Number D.
Ted gets us on a technicality.
I'm walking here. I'm walking
here. That's Taxi, isn't it?
Close.
Taxi Driver.
Taxi Driver.
Nope.
Oh, it's not?
No.
This is Taxi Driver.
No.
What
is it?
Midnight Cowboy.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. I can hear it now. Yeah.
Number E. It was Beauty killed the Beast.
Oh. King Kong.
Yes.
Yeah.
Point for Joe. Number F.
Cool.
Jeez.
I'm just one stomach flu away from my weight goal.
That's just reality. That's in a movie?
It is.
Okay, Trish.
She got it.
Devil Wears Prada.
Number G. Carpe diem. Seize the day, boys.
Well, that's the poetry movie.
Dead
Robin
Poets.
Williams.
Dead Poets.
Oh, very good.
That's right, Jack.
Very, very
Number
well.
H. I'm big. It's the pictures that got small.
Golly.
That's an
got it, Lane?
old time, right? What?
There you
Sunset
go, Lane.
Boulevard. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Love that.
And
By the way, I've driven Sunset looking for that address. Yeah.
Don't go swimming.
No.
Okay.
Stay out of the pool.
Number I. Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
That's Dr. Strangelove.
Aha!
Or How I Start. Stop.
All right. Are we ready for Facebook feed time?
Oh, Facebook feed time.
All right. So this is from Karen Oldfield, and she writes, this is a two-parter, by the way. So you get 2 photographs of Karen's toilet. She writes, day 5 of the TP experiment. Young housemate is almost down to the dregs on both rolls of toilet tissue.
Right.
I'm curious to see what happens tomorrow. Will he resort to using Kleenex, or will he walk a few feet to the bathroom cupboard
And
and
actually
replace
get- yes.
a cardboard tube with a full roll? Will he replace one or both? Or will he leave cardboard tubes in place, get out a new roll, and then set it on the toilet tank? Question mark, question mark.
That's a good
exclamation
move.
point. We shall
Yeah.
see. First of all,
Good
can we
move.
talk about how there's 2 toilet
That's what I was going to say. It's amazing they need 2.
They have backup.
It's
Yeah.
brilliant.
It's called dual
First of all,
redundancy
I
in the
think, yes.
media world. Yeah.
Yeah, you usually don't see that outside of Denny's, but all right. And then a few
sometimes
da-
if I get stuck into having to do that, just to kind of get back, I'll put it the opposite way. Like I like the roll to come out from the bottom.
you do? Why?
Yeah.
But why do you
That's
prefer
wrong.
that?
top.
Because
Over
it's
the top.
touching the wall.
He's also left-handed. You can
But
see
my
what's
wife
going on.
likes it from the top, so
Right.
it's kind of like a little devious thing. That if I'm going to have to change it, I put it my way.
Oh
You're
my
teaching her a
God.
the
lesson.
next time I go back
Goodness.
in there, it's turned around to the other way. I know, I am wrong.
All the hotels
There's
in the world
actually
can't
a
be wrong.
design that shows that
Thank you,
that's the
Ted.
correct way. Yeah.
You realize that Anne now knows about this, and you're going to be punished for this.
Damn it.
Like she didn't suspect it might be him.
It could have been anybody.
True.
Could have been the guy who stole my GoPro. All right, so we have an update. You
Yes.
have Karen's update.
Oh, good.
A few days later,
Yeah, let's
she,
see what
she
happened.
posted, and you're gonna look because it includes a kitty.
Oh, the cat's in there.
Yeah. So the wait is over. Day whatever number it is, and miracle of miracles, Mr. Young, male housemate who shares bathroom, has replaced both empty cardboard TP tubes. I am so proud of
Wow.
this. I am so
Impressive.
proud of this other mother's son for doing this deed.
Wow.
And here is the final TP experiment photo with lovely Ms. Ellie modeling the commode as an added bonus. Thanks for watching.
And all
Well,
it took was a little
He's going to
restroom
ask her for
doxing.
a reference,
Now,
I think, after that.
can you guys tell where does he have it? The roll.
I can't. You're closer,
Can't quite
Dina. Can you see?
Dina, what? It's hard to.
Can't tell.
The white's blown out.
All right,
Yeah.
but we're impressed. All right, who's ready for what's Twitter trending?
Oh my!
And
You
this
know,
is-
I've been waiting all week for this. Can we do it now?
So this morning, what's Twitter trending was hashtag new endings to Roses Are Red.
Ah.
Yeah.
I like that.
And I selected a few. I read through like hundreds, and I had to read the lines "Roses are red, violets are blue" way too often. Way too often. But the winners.
Can we have Jack read this one?
Yeah, I would love to have Jack read.
do that.
Yeah.
And I want to really lay into it.
But I
Jack.
want to
Come on.
credit the tweeter. This is
Yes.
from Hot Cocoa Goddess.
Hot cocoa goddess.
She comes
ahead.
up with the
Go ahead,
best.
Jack.
Here you go.
Roses are red, violets are blue. I'm allergic to flowers, you uncaring bastard.
Well done, Jack. Well done.
What else? Who else do we have? Go ahead. This is from Imana Gandhi. Gandhi? Go ahead, Jack.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Roses are red, violets are blue. I'll just go pour through that part.
Yeah.
Some other things are also red, like the blood of my enemies. I've said too much.
I've revealed too much on Twitter.
I feel like I should do a few more reads of that one to get that one down.
That's it. We'll fix
All right,
it in
we have
post.
one
Fix it in post,
yeah.
from the concept. Joe, you can read this one.
Alrighty. Roses are red, violets are blue. You'd expect something romantic, but these are gardening facts. Interesting.
I think I like
I
that.
didn't know where I was going with that.
Yeah, I don't have any that rhymed. I was going kind of like,
Roses are red, violets are blue. Okay.
what trailers are we looking forward to seeing this summer?
Well, I just did one for God Bless the Broken Road. So that should be coming out. Oh, are we not doing trailers, or what are we doing?
Yeah, trailers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that
based on a song by
So
Garth
please go
Brooks.
see that and make it look as though I had some impact on it.
All right. And what's that movie about?
It's a much more heartfelt movie. So this is a guy, a husband and wife, young couple. The guy's been in Afghanistan and he dies. And it's, working through all that. So it's one of these impact feelings movies, and it looks like it's actually going to be very moving and touching.
Wow,
so
very nice.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So how do you prepare to match your voice to the tone that the filmmakers and the trailer makers, who's in the booth with you, who's guiding you?
That it completely depends, as Joe will tell you. It's sometimes you get just a few specs and you're in all by yourself, and you just do what you think is best. And so you give a lot of different reads, both for your intent and the pacing,
Speed.
for speed, we call it.
ABC for speed.
You'll say the same lines over and over at slightly different paces. But a lot of times, you'll be over ISDN, you might have a whole committee on the other end, and they'll be saying this, that, the other thing, please stand by. You wait for 10 minutes, and they come back and they say you're good.
And by the
or
way,
do it
a
again
whole
and again.
committee is something you just can't wait to do voiceover for. I want someone to go, that was good. What did you think? Well,
Do they ever hurt your feelings?
No, honestly, they don't, because I've never gotten negative feedback. No, actually, they don't, because
Ever.
it's a professional situation. So if you don't do it right, you need to give it what they need, and what serves the copy. That's the most important thing. What is going to get the job done? So I don't have all the answers, and maybe they don't have all the answers, but together, hopefully, we'll be able to arrive at an answer that works.
And how much of the film do you see in advance of
good
that
question.
session?
Very good question.
Yeah, sometimes nothing. Yeah, often nothing. Often, a lot of times you're doing things wild. You're not doing it to anything. You might get a soundtrack, which is, as Joe will tell you, is extremely helpful, because it's a mood-inducing sort of thing. But a lot of times you're really relying on what's inside between your ears and just trying to come up with something in the darkness of the booth that will make sense for the copy and serve that, not try to sound a certain way or do a certain thing, but really just give them something that they can use. They need options more than anything else, because they're going to be cutting it and recutting it. And they need different speeds and all. They might want to move something and slip something that way. So you just have to provide them with those options.
Did either of you guys ever get any scratch that you guys thought was just ridiculous?
Yes. Yeah.
I probably supplied some scratches that were ridiculous.
So scratch is what what an editor or Predator or or any marketer will lay down as just so you can route it and you can do rough cuts.
Right.
And then when it goes off to the VO talent, you send it with scratch and then without.
So he means someone else read it.
Yeah.
So that
Mostly they're reading it so they can get the speed
like a demo.
right, in the cut, Yeah. And then it'll go to, I'll often say, I'd rather not hear the scratch.
That's what I thought. I send it separate. So if you want it, it's there.
Because it can color it, and same in promo. Sometimes, the writer-producer will do the scratch as well. It's helpful sometimes if... most of the time when we're in a session in network, whoever's the room producer wants to hear the scratch to make sure that the final script is matching the scratch. And if it doesn't, then you have to call the writer-producer and go, okay, which is right? Is the script correct, or is your scratch correct?
So in the history of voiceovering, and I believe...
In the history of voiceovering,
there was a time when there was the guy with the big voice, like Gary Owens, that would do the big voice stuff. And then there was the guy with the fun voice that would do the comedies, but then they started using Gary's voice to be kind of a parody.
Well,
so is it tricky to know exactly
what? I'm a parody?
No.
When you have to do something like The Broken Road and really mean your voice, as opposed to
right. Very good question. Because in your demo, which you just recorded recently, you have some of that comedic, snarky, and then also some serious reads. And how do you go back and forth between the two reads?
I think part of being ready to do this job is that all day long you're switching gears, right? So you might be doing a commercial that's crazy. You're just kind of sounding like a guy, and then you're like down here.
Didn't that sound like a guy?
It sounded a lot like a guy.
Just like a guy. What I believe guys sound like, I'm not really sure.
Never met a guy.
Thank God for YouTube.
Heard that's what they
you're
sound
down
like.
here and doing this kind of thing, and you're doing whisper reads, and you're all over the place, and you have to have kind of those things ready to go in your back pocket, and then build on those to color them and layer them. As you go in and realize what they're looking for. But usually the people who hire somebody like Joe Cipriano know what they want, and they know he can deliver. So they know how far he can stretch, which isn't very far.
No, it's not very it's a very short stretch. But the cool thing about, and you can probably hear it, he can get into a real Phil Hartman kind of a sound too, which is really fun.
I'm not going to do it.
So do you guys do like warm-ups and voice training and all this kind of stuff, or do you just or is it just your voice and you just go for it?
I do not do warm-ups. I know a lot of voiceover people who do and swear by them, and also do mouth exercises.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, tongue twisters.
Tongue twisters. Thank
Yellow
you.
leather,
Yes.
red leather.
Exactly.
Yellow leather,
Yes.
red leather.
Yeah.
Also, he does a lot of mental agility work before he gets in the booth. I don't really do that much myself. I will in the morning. I'll sing, to myself, or do pseudo scales because I'm not really trying to do.
Isn't that when you usually hear about 7:30? Shut up in there.
Oh no, that happens around
I think
6.
we need to hear pseudo scales.
Oh, let's hear.
Yeah.
Oh, but I'm not really trying to do like.
God, would that be annoying? If you were in 1422 and he's in 1421,
then you'd be dead. But that's another story.
That's another trailer.
No, but I don't really though. I just kind of, especially in the mornings, I try to do work that more suited to that voice. It might be slightly a half a register lower, because as the day progresses, your voice comes up a little bit. You can always go back down, but
So you guys think
About
about
8 o'clock, it gets up around here.
You guys give a lot more thought to how your voice sounds at any given moment of the day or after eating or drinking any given thing than the rest of us mortals.
Huh.
But we can't afford to think about it too much because then we'll get lost and mired in the sound of our voice, which is kind of the fatal flaw of any voiceover guy will tell you.
Right.
Or gal. I don't mean
which
to
is
be
why
sexist.
most voiceover people wear headphones because they love the sound.
They love
of their
the sound
own
of the voice. Yes.
But you can't just really...
That's why Gary Owens used to always do this. It's the G.O. show.
It's the Geo show. But you can't just go to a ball game and scream. You do have to be thinking.
No, exactly.
Good point.
You're right.
Yeah. Or some people swear they can't eat things. I don't really have any problems eating any particular thing, but I try not to eat too much, before I go. And if I know I'm going to be in the booth for a couple hours, because you can get noises and things can come up, and those mics will pick up everything.
Oh, they do.
Yeah, like little belly noises and
Someone's probably done a cut reel of VO guys clearing their throats or
there
coughing
are,
something.
there are some out there.
Or
please don't look for them.
Ernie Anderson swearing one after another.
We do have some fun outtake reels online, don't we?
Oh yes,
like
that's something you can find
Casey.
online.
Yeah. Who else?
The Ernie one
Casey.
is incredible.
Yeah.
Ernie. Does he
Ernie
curse?
Anderson. Oh my gosh.
Is
yes.
the Orson Welles one online?
Orson Welles
it's
is
everywhere.
on. Yes.
Yeah.
You people are such pests. What is it in the depths of your ignorance that you want?
Can you guys find that?
Oh my God.
What am I
it's
allowed
so
to
good.
say on this podcast?
Oh, well.
I'd say flipping
Can
anything.
it be something suggestive?
Sure.
Okay, because one of the most famous, you can always edit it out, right? One of the most famous Orson Welles things, I think, is he pauses after was it Suave Bola, the wine thing?
The wine, yeah.
He pauses and says to the director, "Young man, if that's the way that line should be read, I shall go down on you right now."
I'll go down on you.
And so does he?
We don't know.
TBD.
Do we have that reel?
Tape cuts right there.
Did you find
The
it,
tape
Lane?
ran out.
Yes.
All right, I think obscure audio part 2. Let's
There
see what
we
we
go.
got here. All right.
Let's see.
Let's see. Let's just have fun with the internet.
Orson Welles outtakes.
Oh,
Frozen
Frozen Peas.
Peas.
This is
Yes,
awesome.
this is very good.
Frozen peas.
Yes.
Do you want to go through everything and then come back?
No, tell me. I usually prefer to, but tell me what's wrong.
All right, I just think the very opening could be a little...
Nothing is more important than the simple act of people getting together.
Good. Could I have one more go, Lawson, please? Sorry.
What?
Could I have
What?
just one more take of that?
Why? I just did it right. Look, I'm
People
not
get
used to
together
having
over
more than
frozen
one person
peas?
in there.
There's way
One
too
more
much
word out of
directing
you and you
going
go.
I love.
Is that
Who
clear?
are you?
Yes, sir.
I take directions from one person under
protest.
protest. But from two, I don't sit still. But who the hell are you?
Who the hell are you? And so the guy says, "Oh, well,
Well,
I'm
why
the
the hell are
engineer,
you
Mr.
asking me
Wells."
for another one?
Well, you get the hell out of here.
Well, I thought there was a slight bonk, and I would just like to say...
Jesus.
What is it?
What is a gonk? Do you mind telling me what that
No,
is?
a bang from outside.
A bang from outside.
You can hear the withering.
It goes on for like about 20 minutes.
All right, all right, we get the idea.
Joe, you must
So
have these things
he's
memorized,
just
I
being
guess.
Orson Welles, even when he's not, just being cranky, he's still Orson Welles. Like, imagine having to be
True.
Orson Welles all day. That must be exhausting. All right. Anything else to share? Where can promote yourself?
Let's get
please.
back to trailers.
Ted and Jimmy,
Yes.
promote yourselves.
Yeah, how do we
find you?
Find the podcast.
All right. So, Jimmy?
Jim?
Well, trailerjunkiespodcast.com.
No, there he is. Oh, your mic's off.
Oh, yeah, we
Did
My
we mute
mic's
him
off.
to play
Maybe
Orson?
we muted you.
There you go.
All right,
Now
you're
you're
up.
back.
Yes.
Am I back?
Yes.
There was a slight bump. in
Who
the
are you?
microphone.
There was a bang.
TrailerJunkiesPodcast.com is our website. And, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, everywhere you get podcasts, you can find us.
Excellent.
And is it,
just
what's the
search.
frequency of the podcast? Weekly?
Weekly.
Yeah.
Kenneth.
We drop every Thursday.
Every Thursday.
And it's highly entertaining. I will
we
vouch for
drop
it.
on
What's the
Thursdays.
frequency, Kenneth? Oh, my God.
The REM pull.
Yes.
Nice.
Oh, my.
And where can we find you, young Jack?
Oh, Jack.
Well, you can find me on JackDanielVO.com, at JackDanielVO on Twitter. Anything Jack Daniel VO, that's pretty much me. So
pretty much
just type
gonna
it
be
in
you.
and the interwebs will cast it back out at you and say, really? Are you sure? And
Yeah, and you'll confirm.
yeah.
It'll be a
and,
good find.
and Joe?
JoeCipriano.com.
All right, we are Things I Found Online podcast.
Where do we find you, Louise?
Yeah.
Oh, LouisePalanker.com.
Wow.
But also go to ThingsIFoundOnlinePodcast.com to find all things associated with this and give us a nice review in the iTunes store.
But wait, please go to,
to-
dinosaurtrain.com right now.
But there's nothing. Should we put up like a
A
placeholder?
Kickstarter.
We'll put
Let's
up
do a
something,
Kickstarter
yeah.
right now.
There you go.
I'll let my kids know.
Yes, okay.
Coming soon.
Yeah.
What are you saying? Trish whispers in my ear while I'm wearing
While
headphones.
you're wearing headphones.
She comes to me, she's like,
Yeah.
did you say Jack? All right. Well, just come over to the microphone, Trish, and
Trish, come on over.
come on.
And while she's doing that, you can find me on
Yes.
T Junkies Podcast on Twitter. So we took the trailer out. It's just T Junkies Podcast. So I am very active there, probably more active than I should be.
Yes,
Thanks for saving my
if you're
fingers, those
addicted
extra
to tea,
digits.
you should definitely check it out. I'm Louise Palanker. I want to thank everyone for being with us, and please subscribe and comment and share our show with all of your valued and trusted friends. And we will see you next week. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Awesome. A lot of fun. Thank you.
Well done.